Well, the script of this video was supposed to read thus. The Super Eagles are back on track in their World Cup qualifiers after 2 wins from 2 against Rwanda and Zimbabwe in the latest round of World Cup qualifiers. But that was not the case, sadly. That was going to be the case until Zimbabwe, the Warriors of Zimbabwe, equalized late on in Uyo in the dying minutes, and as a result prevented Nigeria Super Eagles from getting 2 wins out of 2, a much needed 2 wins out of 2, by the way, in the recent World Cup qualifiers. Welcome back to my channel, guys, and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'll be doing a post-match analysis of the latest round of CAF World Cup qualifiers as regards the Super Eagles in Group C against Rwanda and Zimbabwe. And I'll be touching on a few prompts that I have here. So before I go into that, obviously it was disappointing, the Zimbabwe game. Thought we were going to win 2 games from 2, but well, as it is, our World Cup qualifying hopes are at a serious risk. But yeah, I'll go into that by starting with looking at the overall team play in both games. So that's in the game away to Rwanda and the game at home to Zimbabwe. And if we go back to the game in Rwanda, I think that was a good game. Obviously, we won 2-0. Osimhen with 2 goals. I think that game against Rwanda, it was quite interesting because Rwanda was the home team, but I don't think that, especially in comparison to the Zimbabwe game, Rwanda were the home team, but they didn't really, they didn't really threaten that much, or I don't know, I just feel like wanted more on the day. The overall team play in that game, well, Eric Chelle started with, I think, what I would describe as a 4-2-2-2 formation, which was an interesting one. Obviously a very attacking formation, by the way. He went for it because he knew that we needed to win, we needed goals, So yeah, he went for it. The overall team play in that game, I didn't know what to make of it, I think we basically just took our chances, and that was the difference on that day. I can't really say access, although yeah, we played well as a team, but I'm not fully convinced of how well we played. I just think it was a game where we took our chances. I've not really been able to make, it's still 2 games, yeah, but I've not really been able to make something of what our team play currently is. I think we're more attacking minded in comparison to like other games before now. So yes, we're more attacking minded. Yeah. That's for the Rwanda game. For me, it was very simple. We took our chances, we won. Which is in comparison to the game against Zimbabwe, which is quite interesting because we had a couple of really good chances in the earlier stages of the game, in the first half against Zimbabwe. And I think we played well. Interestingly, at least in the first half, I think Zimbabwe started to feel the pressure, and they really organized into a low block, a really low block. I started to notice it from like the second half when it was still 0-0, or from like close to the end of the first half when we kept on having chances. And Zimbabwe kind of realized that if they kept on going, because they also need 3 points, they also need to win, they also need, so they couldn't completely just stay back, but they realized that a draw is a good result. A draw away in Nigeria is a good result for them. So I think after our first couple of chances, they started to keep a low block, which helped them to maintain a compact way of combating our attacking threats and everything. So I think that in the game against Zimbabwe, we played well until Zimbabwe started to play with a low block, and then we didn't know what to do again. But Eric Chelle made some changes, brought in Tolu Arukodare, more threats in the attack. Tolu Arukodare is a monster of a striker, big, so I also noticed that the game plan also changed with that substitution. We started playing more balls into the box. Our crosses in that game were really terrible, by the way, except for the cross Olaino gave for the goal that Osimhen scored. Osimhen again in that Zimbabwe game. Most of our crosses in that game were atrocious. I was wondering, are these professional players crossing balls or are these academy players? Because I was wondering, like, surely you guys can do better than this. Surely you guys want to go to the World Cup. Surely you guys know that you have a proven number 9 up front and then another big striker up front, 2 strikers where if you delivered a good ball, there is a high chance we were going to score. But in the water break, as usual. Yeah, back to what I was saying. So in the game against Zimbabwe, I think the team played well, but for spells of the first half early on in the game. But when Zimbabwe started to react to our chances, then we sort of didn't really know what to do again until Olaino played in a beautiful cross and Osimhen scored. And I'm not sure if we're trying to protect that lead or we're trying. And this is the thing about football. Football is so funny because when we were having all those chances in the first half and Zimbabwe organized into a low block, they were no longer trying to attack except when they won the ball up the field. But when we scored, like they sort of just went gaga and they were like, we are not living here with nothing, like we are going to live here with something. And it was like it just changed because even before the equalizer, they hit the bar. They could have won that game, they could have taken 3 points back to Zimbabwe. They hit the bar, so they really deserve that point. They worked for it. I don't think anybody that watched that game, any Super Eagles fan, any Nigerian football fan, should think that we lost that game in 9 minutes. No, we didn't. We didn't. Or I mean, when I say we lost that game in 9 minutes, like we overwhelmingly deserve to win. Or Zimbabwe just snatched it later. No, they took their chance. They took their chances. Basically, as soon as we scored, they switched on and they got into a mode where they felt like they had to take their chances. And from then, they sort of became really clinical. They hit the bar, and that was the like alarm bells ringing. And as after they hit the bar, some minutes after they scored. Maybe lapse of concentration by the captain, Trustekong. Maybe he could have done better with that, ball into the box. I also think he felt bad after the game because he reportedly didn't go for the press conference, which he usually does with the manager. So he didn't face the media, So, well, I think the team play in that game. So this team play topic is going to roll over into one other prompt. So maybe I should leave that. I should leave that for now. I think I've spoken about what I considered the team play in the Rwanda game and the team play in the Zimbabwe game. So I'll go to my next prompt here. That is the best and worst performances in both games. Who was the best player? Who was the worst player? Who had bad performance? Who had good performance? Basically, I think everybody watching this video will agree with me that Victor Osimhen was undoubtedly our best player in both games. He scored all our 3 goals. Scored 2 goals in the game against Rwanda that got us the 2-0 win. Scored 1 goal against Zimbabwe that could have got us the win. I think Victor Osimhen was very fired up. Even from the start of all of this, he was the first person to arrive in camp. A couple of people have been critical of him, in recent years, but he showed his commitment a lot, and he showed, I think, leadership from the front in the game. He got to camp first, and he's coming from Turkey, even before some players that realistically should be getting to camp before him. So he from the time that this international break came about till the time they played the first game against Rwanda, Zimbabwe, Osimhen was you could tell he was dedicated to the cause. He wanted it so bad, but Sadly, we couldn't get 6 points. Yeah, he delivered. I think outside, and why apart from the goals, why I think Osimhen is my pick for best player in both games, because every other one of our attackers had chances as well, and they couldn't convert. I think Lookman had a couple of chances, and I expect, Lookman is a really good forward, so on top of his game at the moment, at least for Atalanta. So I expect some more clinical finishing. But for a lot of the chances, they couldn't keep the ball under the bar. A lot of chances, a lot of balls were going over the bar. So it makes a really strong case for Osimhen that in the 2 games where a lot of our attackers wasted chances, he was able to convert 3. I wish one of the goals against Rwanda I could have scored against Zimbabwe, so we could have beaten Zimbabwe 2-1. But if wishes were horses, you know what they say, beggars would ride or whatever. So I think obviously Osimhen undoubtedly, there's no need to deep this one too much. Osimhen undoubtedly best player in both games. Worst performance in both games. Now this is a hard one. I think as at the Rwanda game, I couldn't say, because I think everybody was on their A game in that one. For this, I think it's the Zimbabwe game that the performance in the Zimbabwe game I could use to say who was the worst player in both games. And I think it's hard. It's hard. I think I'm struggling to find who the best player was. I think there were a couple of players that could have done better. I think that Moses Simon and Ola Aina and Trustekong, those 3 could have done. Ola Aina with the crosses, Moses Simon also with the crosses as well. I think Trustekong obviously with that last chance, I feel like there's something better he could have done to maybe cover the distance between him and I don't know. I just feel like there's something better he could have done. Even Stanley Wabali, the goalkeeper, maybe he could have done better with that chance. But I think once it had gone past, once the Zimbabwe player had gone past Ekong, obviously it was likely to be a goal. I think Samuel Chukwueze was in terms of the attacking minded players, I don't think he played that advanced in the pitch, but I think he was one of the players I would say in both games did not contribute as much. I think I recognize Iwobi's effort, Lookman's efforts. Lookman delivered the assist in the first game against Rwanda. Osimhen's effort, obviously. Tolu Arokudare did not play as much minutes as a starter, so I can't really, and it's just his debut, and so I can't really say much for him. I think Chukwueze, I don't think there's one standout worst performer, but if I have to call a few. I think Chukwueze, Ekong, Ola Aina, but for this game, even though he made the cross, he made the assist, and I think those were the players really. It was, but I think it could have been in the reverse, because if we are taking our chances, maybe I wouldn't be able to say, and maybe I'm also saying this wrongly, by the way, I stand to be corrected. But maybe if we are taking our chances, maybe I wouldn't have anybody to call the worst performer. So yeah. Okay. Well, to my next prompt is that, what do these matches tell us about Eric Chelle's managerial style, about his tactics? It's just 2 games, but what do these matches say about what Eric Chelle wants to do with the Super Eagles squad that he has in his under his tutelage, basically. I think looking at the form, I think before even Nigeria, I think people watch Mali at the AFCON. I've said this before. Eric Chelle likes attacking football. Eric Chelle is basically the opposite of the man who led the Super Eagles to the AFCON, Jose Peseiro. Eric Chelle likes attacking football, and from the first match against Rwanda, I could see it from the formation, a 4-2. I think it was a 4-2-2-2 or a 4-4-2. It was just a very, interesting one. But obviously, there were more attacking minded players in that formation. Yeah, I think that's and obviously the same formation in the second game. I also think that I don't. Okay, another thing though, I don't think, and for the record, I don't think the fact that we couldn't beat Zimbabwe, I don't think it's on Eric Chelle, because I feel like Eric Chelle made changes when he should have. When the first half was 0-0, by the way. So when the second half came along and we were still looking for a goal, he brought in Tolu Arokodare, and I think the reason behind that was obvious. We have a proven striker in Osimhen who is very prolific in the air. So if you bring in Tolu Arokodare, who is big, who can bully defenders, if you play across into the box and Osimhen and Tolu Arokodare fight for that ball in two different places, one of them is very likely to make contact with the ball and get a shot on target, which is why I'm still angry with the delivery, the types of crosses that we got. Tolu Arokodare did get a few headers. He got one that the keeper I think saved, and there was one he headed over the bar. I don't think he attacked that ball quite well. But I think Eric Chelle did well to make that change when he brought in Tolu Arokodare. I think that change, and I think that also helped with getting that goal, because when the main man in the box is Osimhen, for example, he can be contained a lot of times, but when it's Osimhen, who is very prolific in there, and then a beast of a striker like Tolu Arokodare, it is different, because now you have a Tolu Arokodare who needs to have at least two defenders on him, and an Osimhen who also needs to have at least two, so it kind of opens up space, So I think that was partly why Osimhen was able to head in at the back post, free header and get the goal. So I think Eric Chelle, I actually think he did make changes early. And like I said, for the record, this loss is not on Eric Chelle. I think it's just because we didn't take our chances on the day. If you look at the number of chances we had, I think in the first half alone, we had about 6 or 7 chances. So I think he made his changes, and there was a time in the game where after we had scored, when Zimbabwe started attacking, immediately we scored. He saw immediately and that we needed a change, and I think he took off. He made a change to bring in a midfielder, and can't remember who it was, but I think he took off an attacker. So I think his changes were also good. I think they were not like late, because I think, okay, this is a problem I had with Gernot Rohr, the previous Super Eagles manager from like 2016 to 2021. I think Gernot Rohr used to make like obvious substitutions quite late. Like, you can see that this is what the team needs, and that thing that player that the team needs, that person that the team needs, is on the bench. But Gernot Rohr was very rigid sometimes in his selections, and it would take so much time, and like, he didn't make the obvious changes early. So I think Eric Chelle made the obvious changes early, and again, I don't think this loss was on him. So it just happened because we're not clinical, and the time when we needed to concentrate the most after we had just scored was when we lost concentration. And I think the people who it's two sets of people: the forwards who should have killed the game in the first half, and the defenders who couldn't contain the first Zimbabwe attempt that hit the bar and the eventual equalizer. So I think to answer the question, what does the matches tell us about Eric Chelle's Nigerian style? I think it tells us what we already know. Eric Chelle likes to play attacking football, serious attacking football. But sometimes his team can be vulnerable, which is something I think over time he would. I don't know how much time he will get, by the way. I think the NFL will stick with him. Like I said, I recorded a video before this where I said, it was even one of my last videos, by the way. I said, Eric Chelle sadly does not have enough time, but Again, we've played. This is the third round of World Cup qualifiers. There's been 6 games, 2 games per round, and we've won only 1 game in 6. And that 1 game we won has come under Eric Chelle. All the other managers in the first round of games, we played Lesotho at home and Zimbabwe, and we drew both games, 2 wins from a possible 6. In the second round of games, we played South Africa and Benin. We drew South Africa and lost to Benin, 1 point from a possible 4. Now, this third round of games, and Eric Chelle, who has not had any friendly, who has not had much time to relate with the team and all, he has come and he has gotten 4 points from a possible 6. Could have gotten 6, but he got 4. We have had 3 managers so far in this qualification campaign, and no manager has gotten more than 2 points from a possible 6 per round. So it is we expected 6, but it is definitely a step up. The only thing now is it is not a step up that we can be celebrating at this point because of how critical the situation is. But yeah, Eric Chelle's managerial style is obvious. He likes to attack, and I like to see the Super Eagles attack because I think before now, I think that we had been very, very, in the past 2 years, I don't think we had sort of an identity of how we played. We just knew, okay, we had these good players, and then we hoped that these good players would bail us out or whatever. So I think that has been like how we normally approach games. We don't really say, okay, this is how we want to play, so I think, I like to see Super Eagles. I want to see attacking football. We have enough players to play attacking. Which interestingly, we have the most exciting strikers in Europe or even in the world right now. We have some of the most exciting strikers. So why can't, it's only reasonable that we play attacking. Attack is our biggest strength right now. We have Lookman, we have Osimhen, 2 former African Player of the Year, last African Player of the Year, current African Player of the Year. So it is a no-brainer. The Super Eagles have to play attacking football. So so I think what the matches tell us about Eric Chelle's style is he's willing to repeat a winning team, because he played the team that played against Rwanda, that started against Rwanda, started against Zimbabwe, and even the changes were also quite similar. So he's willing to repeat a winning team, and he loves attacking football, and that's just that about that. So moving on to my last prompt, I see, looking at how things stand in Group C at the moment, I want to see, will Nigeria qualify for the World Cup? Now, before I answer this question, I need to break down the situation of things. As things stand right now, we are currently 4th in Group C with 7 points. 1 win in 6 games with just 4 games to go. There are 2 teams. The next 2 teams above us are on 8 points, and then there's South Africa on 13 points. Now, speaking of South Africa, there is an issue with a case of alleged ineligible player that played for South Africa. I think his name is Teboho Mokoena or something. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly. And apparently the news broke recently that he had 2 yellow cards. And according to the rules, if I am correct, I don't know if I'm correct, but I stand to be corrected. In this round of games, if you get, I think 2 yellow cards, you have to miss 1 game. And then they fielded him in the game against Lesotho, by the way, I think. So this has come to the knowledge of the NFF and I think maybe the other federations of the national teams, the other national teams in the group. And I think they are going to take it up with FIFA. Maybe CAF, but I don't think CAF, because it's a FIFA, this is a FIFA competition. So it's the World Cup, so it's FIFA, I think. So I think they're going to take it up with FIFA. But I also saw some things about the time frame where you can report a case of ineligible player and all of that. And I think it said 24 hours, and I think, there's been over 24 hours where that has happened. So I'm not really sure what it is. I always admit that whatever I don't know, I would say it, I don't know it. I'm not ashamed to say I don't know this thing, you know. Even though it's my field, so maybe something I should know, sports, football, you know. But sometimes these rules are, you know, they could be maybe clauses or some additional parts that, you know, change the situation. So I don't know what's going to happen, but you know, we before the game against Zimbabwe, I saw so many Nigerian media, sports, whatever, talking about that game, waxing lyrical about, oh, South Africa will be deducted 3 points, this one, that one. And I don't know what's going to happen with that. I mean, I do hope they get deducted 3 points. Obviously, it helps Nigeria's case. But, you know, we were waxing lyrical and we couldn't do our own job. We couldn't beat Zimbabwe. So we are not supposed to be hoping that South Africa gets 3 points so we can go. Like, we're not supposed to be relying on that. Yeah, it helps us, but that's not. We are Nigeria. We're super good. We're better than every team in that group. We need to prove it. We're not supposed to be relying on the fact that South Africa, because as things stand now, the most realistic place we can finish is in a playoff spot, because there's 9 confirmed slots for Africa for the World Cup 2026 next year, and there is a potential 4 playoff spots. Now that 4 playoff spots will go to the best 4 second place teams after all the 10 games in all the groups have been played. And as I'm seeing all the groups right now, there are some second place teams in the other groups that are on more than 10 points, and we are still on 7 points. So I'm not sure we're not even second right now. We are 4th, and we're just 1 point above the team, I think, in 5th. So we're not even that second position is not a given. We still have to win 4 games, you know. So it is a thing of, yeah, we need to point out if South Africa has violated the rules or whatever, but at the same time, we need to do what we need to do. We can't be, it's not South Africa we are going to be relying on, you know, or their case, you know. So, because if we keep South Africa, if they deduct the point for South Africa, the points will go to Lesotho, as far as I know, because it is Lesotho who played the match. They're not going to give us the points, and they're not just going to deduct the points. The points will go to Lesotho, and 3 goals will go to Lesotho. Those are the rules. Now, this has happened to Nigeria even in our World Cup qualification in 2018. Luckily for us at that time, we had already topped the group in a way which even an extra 3. I don't even think Algeria finished second. I think Algeria finished 3rd. We had already topped the group in a way that even an extra 3 points for Algeria was not going to change anything, because I think that was the last match. We fielded an ineligible player in that game, and then FIFA awarded 3 points and 3 goals to Algeria. So, but in this situation, we are far off, you know. So even if they award those points to Lesotho, people seem to forget that Lesotho are under us. Lesotho are going to climb above us if FIFA. So people are not actually, but I can also understand, you know, is also because obviously to many people and to me, yeah, Lesotho is a lesser threat than South Africa. But then we could not be the same Lesotho at home. So I think if that's what I'm trying to point out. Like, everybody's saying deduct the points from South Africa, deduct the points from South Africa. Okay, they are going to give Lesotho. They are more happy that Lesotho have those points, but Lesotho are going to climb above us. And if you don't see Lesotho as a threat, you know, or as a big enough threat, we could not beat them at home, and then we're going to go and play them away. So I don't know. I think people should stop worrying about what's going to happen with South Africa's case and focus on our last 4 games. Like, there's no way, whatever will happen, we'll let the NFF or whoever or the other federations in the group deal with that. Whatever comes out, I personally don't care about that, because it is more of, if we are done our own job right now, We will not be bothered about whatever happens with South Africa. Or okay, yeah, maybe we'll be bothered if we're topping the group, okay, so that they don't get close to us. But we will be a bit more relaxed about it. We'll still, make sure they deduct the point, but we'll not be talking about it in a way as if this is what is going to help us out. So I think we need to, leave that out. And for me, when Nigeria qualify for the World Cup, I'm not going to lie to you. As things stand, I don't think we're going to make it. Guys, I'm being serious here. You're watching this video, and you're a Nigerian football fan, Super Eagles fan. We are not going to the World Cup. We are fourth in this group with 7 points. What's that? 7 points, 1 win in 6 games. We want to go to the World Cup. 1 win in 6 games. We are not going to the World Cup. Let's not deceive ourselves. If we win our 4 games, okay, then I will say, okay, we'll make a playoff spot, and maybe depend on whatever happens with South Africa's case at FIFA. But if the qualification was supposed to end today, we're not going to the World Cup. And based on what I'm seeing, we are not going to the World Cup. If we won the game against Zimbabwe, if we did our job, okay, yes, I would have said we are back on track. Like I said at the beginning of this video, that was supposed to be the script for the intro. But as it is now, if you ask me, we are not going to the World Cup. And that's just how it is. Finally. So guys, I've come to the end of today's video. That was my post-match analysis of Rwanda versus Nigeria and Nigeria versus Zimbabwe in the latest round of FIFA World Cup qualifying in Africa. And yeah, I know it's sad for a lot of Nigerian football fans. I watched that game. I rushed home to watch that game. I was, really optimistic, especially after the win against Rwanda, that we're going to win. But, sadly, we couldn't get all 3 points, succumb to pressure late in the game. But yeah, it's football. It happens sometimes. If you don't take your chances, that's what happens. So when you're that's just a lesson. When you're on top in a game, you take your chances. You kill your opponent. You kill all hopes of a comeback. But a 1-0 win was always going to be a slender win. So yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully, when they come back in, I think the World Cup qualifiers will resume in September, because in June there's no qualifiers. June is just for friendlies, I think. So World Cup qualifiers resume in September and end in October. So by October we're going to know our fate, basically. So it's not too far away. I think the draws will even be in November or December. The draws for the actual World Cup. So yeah, everything is going to round up this year for sure. So let's just keep faith that Eric Chelle I would give him a 65% rating. And obviously that rating would have increased if he had won Zimbabwe. But yeah, 65%. Maybe with more, if he spends more time knowing his players, maybe he will be able to deliver 2 wins in the next game. The next set of games is South Africa away. I don't know the other game, but I know that one of those 2 games in September is South Africa away. We are not winning that game. If we win that game, come back to this video and comment. In fact, share this video anywhere. And if you want to insult me, insult me. That this guy, this sports guy that just talk sport, that just talk nonsense on YouTube, said we're not going to beat South Africa, we'll beat South Africa. I won't say anything if I see it. I will just smile and ignore and look away. Because I will be happy safe that we won. But me, I'm telling you, we are not going to beat South Africa and South Africa. This South Africa team I'm seeing, they are good. This is not the South Africa of old. They are good. Hugo Broos is a good coach and he knows how to galvanize those boys, those men. They are good. We're not going to beat them. The best we can get in South Africa is a draw. And I feel like it's even a draw where we feel like we should have lost that game. So, anyways, that will be all for now. I think look out for the next the next round of qualifiers in September, and look out for my next video, because my next video I'll be talking more about the international break outside of Africa, the recent international break that was. So look out for that video. Thank you guys for watching to the end. If you watch the end of this video, you're an OG. Thank you very much. All my numbers on my channel are going up every day. I see it, I check it. I appreciate your comments, your likes and everything. So thank you guys very much. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to share this video to all sports fans, all football fans and everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, share, put on your story, put everywhere. Sports lovers, football fans, everybody. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in my next video. Ciao.